I'm back. Rodrans for the Black and White Network. Let's talk a little bit more about Joe Rogan because he has peeled back the curtain, it seems, on some fallout, and much to the chagrin of leftist progressives everywhere, the woke mob. This is going to do nothing but just enrage them, send them into a full red-eyed glow. Well, we remember last year, due to the COVID controversy, and then, of course, the greatest hits of N-words compilation with no context, Joe Rogan, they tried to cancel Joe, right? And I think it's kind of funny that he's revealed what he's revealed in light of the fact that the other day I did a video where we found out that Michelle and Barack Hussein Obama did not get their Spotify podcasting deal renewed. And I think that's hilarious. Now, look, there's only one reason why something like that doesn't happen. It's because people didn't like their podcast enough. They weren't interested enough, and I do think people like Obama has lost that many people from wanting to hear what the former president's got to say. The Progressive Party is taking a beating. Well, this is going to send the woke mob into a full tizzy. Joe Rogan reveals numerous attempts to cancel him only caused his Spotify subscriptions to massively go up. And when I give you the numbers, I mean, it's like, wow. He also ripped CNN and Brian Stelter for things we already know. They're untrustworthy. Joe Rogan revealed that all the recent controversies that have he's been involved with, the attempts to cancel him, have resulted in his Spotify subscriptions to, quote, go up massively. On Friday's episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, the prolific podcaster proudly proclaimed that his already immense audience had grown significantly since a string of controversies plagued him. British author and political commentator Douglas Murray talked about how Rogan was attacked by the legacy media. Quote, "You have been put through the ringer since we last met," Murray told Rogan. "They did a number on you. Wow." Rogan replied, "It's interesting. My subscriptions went up massively. That's what's crazy. During the height of it all, I gained 2 million subscribers." God, dog. A report from January 2022 estimated that Joe Rogan Experience had an average of 11 million viewers per episode. He's got 5 episodes a week. That's 55 million a week. Listens, I can just tell you that is insane for podcasts. Quote, "It's fortunate that people that went for it were CNN, and they're just so untrustworthy." Rogan slammed the cable news network. Rogan then bashed the CNN personalities, including CNN's chief media correspondent, Brian Stelter. Quote, "People know how biased they are, and they know how socially weird their fucking anchors are. Just these awkward, non-relatable people," Rogan said. "Like if there's someone on TV I like, Jon Stewart is a great, relatable person who I find to be a brilliant guy who's a kind person. If Jon Stewart thinks you're a piece of shit, I'm going to listen. But if Brian Stelter doesn't like you, it doesn't mean anything to me. And I got to be honest with you, I don't give a rat's ass what Jon Stewart's got to say either." Murray added that everything about Stelter is just strange. Rogan and Murray then tore apart Stelter's cadence and pattern of communication. Rogan brought up the time when former New York Times opinion editor Barry Weiss demolished Stelter on his own Reliable Sources TV show. Murray recalled watching CNN earlier last year, and he said, quote, "Everything in the coverage was horrible and inflammatory, and everything in the advert breaks were like adverts about the KKK's history in America. So like all you saw all the time was like burning crosses, and then there was relief from the interview stuff. It's just a horrible watch." Later in the podcast, Rogan discussed the cancellation attempts on his career that have all failed. Rogan admitted that the negative press he received, quote, "probably worked on people that didn't like him already, or the people who would be more inclined to form a stereotype of something based on their appearance. I mean, I'm problematic. I host cage fights, you know, and that's one of my side jobs." The podcast hosts acknowledge, I commentate and explain how people are beating the fuck out of each other. Yeah, it's part of my gig. It's a weird gig. Murray said, well-known celebrities like Rogan and Jordan Peterson can survive cancellation attempts because they're already established, but he's worried that, quote, somebody starting off who had not got a body of work behind them is susceptible to cancel culture. Rogan noted that if someone has a typical job at a company, it's frightfully easy to fire somebody. It's very easy to fire somebody. Quote, the one thing that people will do when they encounter a level of frustration is they lash out, Rogan explained. And if they can lash out inside the rule book, like what's the rule? I was offended, F him, get him fired. Rogan experienced several controversies in the last several months, including the corporate media claiming that the stand-up took horse dewormer to treat COVID-19 when he took the human version of ivermectin. There was a boycott of Spotify by a bunch of washed-up has-been musicians over COVID-19 misinformation disseminated by Rogan on his podcast, and Rogan apologized for using the N-word in old podcast clips that claims were taken out of context and a political hit job. Absolutely. Somebody literally sat down to put together a greatest hits compilation of that. Joe Rogan questions Sanjay Gupta. Anyway, it goes on to talk about other incidents involving Rogan. But the point is, that's exactly what happens. Look, nobody trusts CNN. Nobody trusts Stelter. I can't even stand to look at him. I really don't like to make videos on him because I don't want to have to research the guy. I don't want to have to listen to the guy talk. I don't want to have to possibly sit through video that Brian Stelter has done. It makes me want to projectile puke everywhere. But what's funny, and we've seen this, there's YouTubers, plenty of YouTubers out there that the woke mob on Twitter has went after. I know one of them real well. And their channels exploded over that, which I find interesting. It's interesting that when people start trying to spread a bunch of misinformation about somebody or trying to cancel them, maybe they're being completely honest. You know what I have found that is charming in somebody I want to consume their media of? If they're completely honest. If they are completely honest, even saying some things that I don't like. I've talked about the fact, look, I'm a conservative, but I watch Bill Maher. Bill Maher's honest, okay? He says a lot of shit I don't like, really, about Trump. But fuck, he also comes out and he calls out the left for a lot of their bullshit too. Okay? And you know what? That feels honest to me when you can rip everybody in sight. I'm okay with that. All right? And I also tend to realize, you know what people are not? They're not perfect. Rogan's podcast subscriptions went up 2 million subscribers. That should tell the media all it needs to know about the value of just being real. Tell me what you think, Black and White Network fans. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.